collecting stamp duty during a pandemic? Shouldn't they be sensitive to what's going on? To which I can imagine the federal government's response to be like, hey, how much more do you want me to do here? Through the central bank, we have set up a facility, 50 billion naira facility. By the way, over the weekend, I think it was Friday, the central bank said that 49 billion out of that 50 billion targeted facility for SMEs and households has been disbursed already. So that money is almost all gone.
I didn't get mine.
I know, right? Not everybody got theirs, but it's something that they've already put that out there. So we've put out a targeted facility. We've reduced the cost on the interest rate by 400 basis points from 9% to 5% on the interest rates on the intervention fund. We've given a moratorium for an extra year, so for you all not to pay back. We've spoken to banks and told the banks that they should restructure loans with you guys. We've set up stimulus package that at the finance for the Ministry of Finance and so on. We're borrowing more money from the IMF, World Bank, Islamic Bank of the IAFDB, and so on. What else do you want us to do? We need the revenue that's coming from the Finance Act in order to finance the budget and also attend to pressing needs. But then the response to that would be from people, well, look, we're losing jobs. Have wages risen in Nigeria? I mean, I don't know who wants to do that study, but if you look at the wage structure of different jobs, they really haven't increased that much, right? So things have been sticky on that part. Inflation is rising, cost of goods, services are increasing, people are losing jobs, people are being laid off, salaries are being cut. So you take a step back and you look at all the arguments from the bank side of things, from the federal government side of things, and then argument from you and I, the people who are financing these items. And this is what happens when you have a pandemic, right? This is what happens when things like this get scrutinized and issues pop up. But I'm pretty sure that whoever at the bank didn't missed out on these payments, that person, I don't know, they probably lost their job. I'm thinking. I'm thinking whoever that department, whoever is responsible.
I was wondering where I got the reversal.
Right. Yeah. So
my stamp duty that was collected 50 naira, although it sounds small.
Yeah, but it's time. So I think it's for every 10,000 naira in transactions, you get that 50 naira fee. So it accumulates. So I saw some people on my WhatsApp status and on social media say, okay, well, this is good. So look, by and large, the bottom line is good for Access Bank in listening to listening to the customers and reversing the fee. It's going to cost them some money, but hey, it's a tier 1 bank and they should be able to handle it.
We got some more feedback on that. Ladile Johnson says, hi Reuters and Valentine, I got a refund on stamp duty yesterday.
Hey, okay,
same as me. Phil, what's your name here? Please add your names to your messages. Your number ends with 8447. Says good morning. Please remind me of this.
Dar Communications. Yeah, I said you should reach out to the registrar. You have to find out who the. I'll find it out for you today. The registrar for Dar Communications to see if you can still get access to that. Don't worry. I'll take a look at that for you today.
And MI from Akoka says, I have seen a lot of things on social media like throwback picture, but nothing shocks me like throwback charges. I understand that the charges are legit, but how did that slip through the cracks for months? That you can access my money does not mean that you should do as you please. It will be difficult to bank on such institution going forward. Thank you.
Well, again, I was again. Yeah. Accidents happen.
It's not all of them,
yeah. So it's only just that. It's only them. But they've corrected it. They've listened to feedback, kept their ear to the ground, and essentially that's what customer service is about, right?
Yes. And Benga Komo says, Reuters, you should check the article at the back page of this day yesterday. It's on the paper on Power rather, and basically argues that we produce 13,000 megawatts. Yet TCN can deliver only 4,000 to Nigerians. Yet Nigerians are paying for gas produced, but that the TCN cannot evacuate, and some people are smiling to the bank.
Yeah, that's the transmission company of Nigeria. Again, should the government be the one in the middle of all this when it comes to the wheeling capacity of the TCN? That's another question,
And the key word there is capacity.
Yes, so
the equipment does not have that kind of strength to carry as much as we produce.
Let go, federal government. Let go. IPPs, independent power projects. Let every state develop their own power. Let's spread it around. But we won't get there until the liquidity issues have been sorted out. So, yeah.
and
Yeah.
states become independent.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick from Aja says, these are very interesting times. I expect the government to really look at helping small businesses. It's crucial in these times.
Indeed, indeed,
And
indeed.
Ali says, I got charged 250 naira twice and then 50 naira from Access. You know them. I also went mad, but this morning I got the reversal.
Hey, all good, Ali. What all's well that
Yay!
ends well. You got your money back. You got your money back.
And April says, it's funny that I got the same stamp duty charges from UBA last month and no one talked about it.
Yeah, I mean it's supposed to, it's for transactions. Every bank is again mandated to collect this. Again, the only reason why we're talking about Access Bank is because they slipped up on collecting it between February and April. All other banks were going as instructed, basically. Again, this is part of the Finance Act.
That's right. And Darlington says, good morning. It's unfair charging stamp duty during this global pandemic in a wave of huge job losses and reduced disposal income. Ours is not a pandemic, but it's pandemic.
So, and Darlington, I just put that out there. I put your argument forward just now, and then this is the back and forth between the people and the federal government. Government is saying, look, we've done so much. Do you want us to suspend this one as well? Where are we going to get the money from? And so on and so forth. The never-ending story.
And Frank says, I think people miss the big picture here. The attack shouldn't be on Access Bank, but the government.
Yep.
People should have realized the quantum of mere 15 naira stamp duty when accumulated over time.
Exactly. And Access Bank put that in their notice that, hey, it is not our money. We are simply, again, look at the notice. They put the Finance Act there. They say we are remitting it to the CBN, and the CBN is sending it to the federal government. The money is not going to Access Bank. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, people, because it's the bank taking the money, people just got upset and were directing their ire at the bank itself.
And Benga Kabu, I like that word. All right. He said, we gather some people who filled in their BVN details and Empower application. They had money deducted from their account. Some of their details have been fished.
Okay, cybercrime is still an issue.
Especially
Empower.
now.
Empower is still a government initiative for jobs. Thank you for that, Benga. If you want to create jobs, it has to be private sector. There's only so much. Empower is a job placement program. You get trained in a particular sector or that particular field, and then you get job placement. You get placed at certain areas. But where is the federal government placing these people? Are they getting all the jobs that they're being promised when the training is complete? I don't know. Empower is still up there, but they're doing what they can to get people employed.
Now that we're talking palliatives, Yinka has this message. It says 20K for Gbogbero. I didn't get. Lagos State Sliced Bread palliative. I didn't get. Now the 50 billion naira is not 50 billion, is it?
That's the targeted facility amount. 49 is already gone.
I was banking on CBN on that, and it's telling me 49 billion is gone. Like, see, they must release these names, which is actually why what therapy is petitioning for.
Well, exactly. Let us know who collected it. Yeah.
Ladikbo it says, please let's open all businesses, churches, mosques, and schools that meet hygienic environmental conditions, and government environmental regulatory office should continue locking down institutions that don't meet this up with hygiene requirements. Check out the toilets in all the schools. Government should please shut down all public environments without access to running taps, which includes schools, churches, mosques, canteens, restaurants, and legislate it as a requirement for opening such activities.
So that's a good point there. Yeah. The thing is, can you sustain that? How many businesses, churches, schools, and everything are across this state? How many people will continue to keep up the rules? So a lot of personal responsibility goes into this as well. Funny enough, there was a church. Was it Trinity Church? I saw I tweeted it yesterday. I saw I think they're a UK church that operates here in Nigeria. The billboard was advertising a YouTube service it was a particular time. I thought it was so cool.
Smart.
Yeah. It was like, hey, join us for service on YouTube.
Click on this link.
Exactly. So yeah,
I like how the world has changed.
You have to have the facilities, internet capacity, everything set up in order to join said YouTube service. But again, the online option is, it's not universal. It depends. But then, thank you for the message. But can the governments at that scale, monitor everybody in the entire state of Lagos and across the country? It's going to be tough.
Abiola says, I think it's unfair for the bank to try to make customers pay for their mistakes. Charging stamp duties in arrears a month lacks transparency. I know someone who was charged for the 4,000 naira only had 45,000 in his account. What if he had an issue on checks of that 40,000?
Thank you for that. But again, Access Bank, they've listened, they've reversed course. So, they've reversed course.
Okay. Mike the Great said, I got the same reminder.
All right.
And Ibrahim says, a customer of the bank asked that they refund the excess cash deposits charge debited on the account in retrospect, just because they didn't advise them officially on the new CBN policy. The account officer was queried because the customer was actually making a case, I can imagine what the person who did not debit those accounts in access at the right time is going through. If the bank was dragged because you didn't do your job, then they had to refund so
Exactly.
much to customers.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's
that
a
person. I think that person is out of a job.
yeah.
If not heavily fined, one of the two.
All right. Olufemi says registrars of dark communications are first registrars.
Thank you. See why we have our listeners. Our listeners are analysts. So first registrar. So I think it's Phil. Phil, I think that's the name I was looking for. Just reach out to first registrar. Say, hey, I bought shares in Dark Communications. It's their job to keep these records, let you know what dividends, if any, you have still owed to you, and they'll sort you. So thank you for that. First registrars. There you go. That's what registrars do for all the stocks that are being traded on the exchange.
Benga Kamo says there was a church that had a drive-in service. People stayed in the vehicles. To
Praise and worship in your car, and you still pay your tithes. You
Right.
can still do that. Yeah.
Dick says create whistleblowing numbers. Highly sustainable. Government should place penalties for
Good,
breaking it.
Ladipo, good point. You and I incentivize people to be watchdogs on whether or not the
Even your church
businesses
members
are.
reporting their own
Exactly.
You follow these rules.
Ah,
Anderson says, morning Rotus, please, what's your opinion on the CBN's move to unify Naira with the NAFEX? Should we expect Naira to appreciate over dollar anytime soon?
it's a good move. A unified exchange rate, Anderson, is transparency and gives clarity to everybody. If you ask me what's the dollar rate now, I'll maybe I'll look at the black market, I'll look at NAFEX, I'll look at which other one again. So it's the unification gives transparency, allows us to, and it just allows everybody to operate at the same level. The Naira has been depreciating though, so it's in the 400 levels on the black market. So NAFEX, I think they said it's at 388, 389. If they're going to unify the rates, it might move up to 400. So it's going to depreciate if that was to happen.
You guys asking, is this the same bank that was donating money for COVID?
Well, that was everybody. All the banks donated. So you can.
Jason from Surrey said, how can I open a bank account with this certain bank? And how
Oh
strong is
yeah,
it?
just reach out to the bank now.
Yeah.
If, I think they even advertise here, don't they?
They
They
did,
advertise
yes,
on this
they did
station.
for a
So
long time.
exactly. So just reach out, go online, walk into a branch and open an account. Like
Henry
everyone.
Manuel says, I think government needs to take the front row in explaining that banks are mere collection agents.
Yes.
In fact, the stamp duty from individuals is paid to states where the individual charged is resident. Speaking up for businesses when necessary is part of easing the business environment.
Very true, Henry Manuel.
That's
very,
right.
Very true.
If you collect, speak. Good morning, sir. Good morning. What's your name? Please add your name to your message. And then this one from Yinka says, wait, church members snitching on pastor.
No, that's in the scenario
We're
where
just
was it
saying.
Ladipo? I think Ladipo said they should incentivize people
Whistleblowing
to blow,
policy, yes.
whistleblowing. So yeah, that should be part of it. What else? The LIRS, Lagos Internal Revenue Service, said that they were able to collect 25 billion in tax revenue in the month of April, even during the shutdown. So I was speaking to the head of the ICT, the head of ICT department at the LIRS, Mr. Rashid Oluajayi, and he said it was as a result of the e-tax software that they put in place October of last year, which allows businesses to file online, make payments and so on and so forth. There was a bit of a awareness campaign from the LIRS, and so by implementing that way back in October, allowing it to run for a few months, even though businesses were shut down and not as many were remitting taxes, they were still able to collect some money. Now he did admittedly say that, look, 25 billion for a state like Lagos isn't what they would like to collect, but it's better than zero. So in that regard, good for them. I'm hoping to speak with the executive chairman of the LIRS, Mr. Ayodele Suber, and hopefully get his thoughts on other things regard to tax collection. One, where how is the IRS, where do they stand right now? Are they caught between wanting to pressure the Lagos state government to reopen the economy, as Ladipo was just saying in his WhatsApp or his or her WhatsApp message? Ladipo should be a guy, right? I know a lot of Yoruba names are unisex, but Ladipo should be a guy. So are they caught in the middle of trying to pressure Lagos state to reopen the economy so they can collect tax revenue, or are they worried about safety measures? Look what's happening in the United States now, where California, Texas, Arizona, a lot of southern states have seen spikes. Texas has
they recorded the highest daily count
cases, and they've reversed course on letting some businesses reopen. Boris Johnson has taken a gamble. Some people like him in the UK said that he's reduced social distancing to 1 meter in certain cases. He's reopened areas. In fact, today, South Africa is allowing gyms. Is it gyms? Sorry, wait. Oh, no, cinemas and casinos. Sorry, still no love for gyms, but cinemas and casinos in South Africa are going to be reopening today. That they think they've mandated that they should be at 50% capacity. Cases in South Africa are still rising. I think they have 118,000 cases and about 2,000 or so deaths in South Africa. So if you look around the world, there are countries that are just saying, "Hey, look, we're going to just face this thing and let some businesses reopen." So it'd be interesting to see how
going the route of herd immunity.
Yeah, exactly.
But, taking you back to the LRS issue, when you speak with the guy, the LRS guy, also ask him if this question applies to him. Companies who pay tax. Remit tax to both the state and the federal government on through their agents here.
Okay.
And they find out that when they check the portal or check their accounts online, there's no remittance that reflects. So they pay their tax,
right?
And they don't see
there's
it's not
right. Yeah.
So who do they report to?
No, I mean my understanding is that you will, and I'll ask him, but you start from the states. If your business is operating in Lagos and you are going through that Lagos, you're going to have to go through the states and say, hey, look, what's up here with this payment that I've made, and then they'll most likely investigate it on your part. But they've been pushing their e-portal, which is supposed to allow this to be easily done. So we'll see how we'll see how it goes. What else is happening in the business? Well, are we out of time? Real quick. Kanye. Okay, no, I have to. Yeah. Kanye West announced that he had a deal with the Gap, to do this thing called Yeezy Gap.
Yes.
It turns out the director of design, if that's what they call it, I still have to. I'm making my way through the fashion business world. Not quite understanding well, but is a Nigerian. Her name is Mowo. Is it Mowolola or Mowalola? I think it's Mowolola.
Well, leading in fashion.
Yeah,
industry.
she picked her. So it's a Nigerian that's head of the design for the Yeezy thing. I saw it over the weekend, and I'm trying to also reach. I DM'd her like, how far can I interview you? No answer yet. But hopefully I can get to.
I'm sure she will respond.
Yeah, hopefully get to. Oh man, she's big. Naomi Campbell.
There's another guy.
All these people with
one other label, whether it's Yves Saint Laurent or some other brand like that. Nigerian guy. Yeah, lead design.
Oh, she's in the UK. Oh, let me add that one. She doesn't live and operate here.
She doesn't use her lights.
Yeah, she's in the internet. UK designing. So that's so congrats to her as well.
We're Nigeria. We're great.
Yep. And thank you, Valentine. Thank you everybody for your messages. We keep monitoring things. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, stay with us here on Smooth 98.1, 7:30. It's time for Freshly Pressed 91. Business Express.
Thank you, sir.
Bless you, G.
Appreciate. I'll catch you.
Some may say it's not possible to say possible.